I hit him.
No reprieve.
Okay. I got a couple decent rolls of that.
Wait, is that it? Yeah, it is it.
I still don't want to use it over heritage.
Yeah, I mean it's a stasis one, so cool. It's just another option.
It has subsistence and what's the one that puts everybody in the glass crystals or the ice crystals? Headstone.
Yeah.
Headstone, yeah.
Don't I have
Because
a
it's a slug,
subsistence
so
headstone
yeah.
roll or something? I think I have a roll of that.
No,
It's
it
pretty
doesn't
fun.
have subsistence. It has outlaw though. Outlaw headstone is good. It's the outlaw rampage of stasis guns. But yeah, that's a cool roll, and it has focused fury too, which is wild. And then it has its default perk, the right hook. So dealing melee damage gives the weapon increased target acquisition and range for a short period. So you punch something and you get more range, and it's okay. With the slug shotgun, it's okay, yeah, I'm cool with that.
What was the name of it again?
No reprieve.
No, the reprieve. I had a feeding frenzy headstone with accurized. It's pretty fun.
Oh, you, if you do this right, you can get it to 97 range, and then you right hook will max it out. That's dumb. That's pretty funny for a slug.
Seems pretty good.
I mean, it would just be fun to mess with. Not really good, but it'd be entertaining anyway.
Jared, you need to update our glimmer count on the obs.
Ooh. I didn't even check the new linear either. You got rapid hit, outlaw, and clown in the first or the third row, and then frenzy, focused fury, swashbuckler in the fourth. Not terrible.
It had a clever name, didn't it? The
Sales pitch glass.
pitch glass, yeah.
The clever name, I think, was Plank's Stride.
It's kind of weird that we had the dungeon, the one on the Cosmodrome with the treasure.
Yeah, the pirate one, but it was
the Goonies. Yeah, that felt like that should have been in this season.
Yeah.
Just thematically, not like any other reason.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get it. It did kind of set the standard for us to be like, oh yeah, there were, back in the day, there were not pirate fallen, but there were fallen that acted without law, and same kind of thing is our
Black
pirates.
Black flag, fallen.
Yeah,
kinda.
exactly. So it's yeah, it makes sense. And then this season comes out, you're like, you know what? It's a bit of a stretch, but I understand it. The sail flags on the catch is a little much, but catching them solar winds, I guess, can help you get where you need to go.
So, Chad, what's the really bad thing that Mishrax Kell did that they're not telling us? Is it in the lore yet? It's not in the lore or anything.
It might be in the books, but I'm not reading ahead on the books. I'm only reading whatever I get.
Okay.
It's not in the armor, which I'm going to talk about the armor today. The armor is just the Guardian going around and asking people questions. I haven't read much into the books yet, so I couldn't say. I don't think there's been a hint yet, but again, I'm saying that from a place where I'm not sure.
Yeah. I hope it's really bad.
I'm hoping it's really bad too.
Yeah, just.
But I mean, think about it this way too.
Chaos.
Because or things like he did to humans. So he was the stuff that he did to humans is very similar to what Saint did to Fallen. Because then I'd be like, you know what? If the Fallen can forgive Saint, even though they're still scared to death of him.
See, I don't think that he did bad stuff to human. I think that he like turned his back on Fallen or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
yeah, which betrayal of your own kind is kind of a rough. It's
maybe
even more
like
rough,
his wife or the mother of his daughter.
Well,
maybe
the daughter thing is the way Fallen work is you can have that regular family unit, but most of the time it's just they kind of like take care of the children in the brood on their own, and then like they attach to the child like a child, like the child attaches to them. So he found Ido in a ketch or a ship. He found her in a ship crying or making her mewling sound or whatever. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's that same kind of story, finding in what is now an orphan in a ship and then raising her as your own. Him, them. Loki's a them. Loki smashes every single thing that he can smash in the lore.
Even
in the Loki
Taylor
lore.
Swift.
Even a horse. He smashed a horse. I think it was Gleipnir. He smashed a horse, but he was the female horse.
Am I right?
He was a female horse, so he got pregnant and gave birth to, I think it was Gleipnir. So that's why I call him they. Because he was a female horsey, not a seahorse too. He was a female horse. What was it? Loki's.
I believe they're called she-horses.
Son. Yeah, because it's the fastest being a Sleipnir. It's a 8-legged horse. That's the fastest of all horses.
Sounds like a horse of many asses. Lexi, what do you want from me?
Oh yeah.
Don't bother her.
So he gave birth to Sleipnir, and then Odin liked it so much he made it his horse. So his grandson is his steed.
Wait a minute, Lexi.
Man, these old gods are messed up.
In Final Fantasy VIII, Odin turned into Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh comes down and kills Odin, takes his power.
Nice. I like Gilgamesh better anyway.
You know what? Yeah, so in Final Fantasy VIII, Odin is like a summon that you can't control. It just randomly appears. It has like a percentage chance of appearing in each battle. And then you get to a boss fight with Cypher, who's kind of like the boss that you fight like 3 or 4 times throughout the game, you know? And all of a sudden you get the Odin entrance and you're like, oh my god, what are the odds I got Odin to come in on a boss fight? And then Odin comes through and Cypher just like or Gilgamesh comes down and then just slices Odin in half, like literally.
That's nice.
Yeah, and then you get Gilgamesh. Pretty sweet.
Nice. But next time, spoilies, okay, for all the people watching.
I guess so. But I mean, if the game's 20 years old,
because Gilgamesh,
the game's 20 years old, is it really a spoiler?
I know. But once in 2053, once they release the Final Fantasy VIII remaster,
they've already released a Final Fantasy VIII remaster, my dog.
No, I'm talking about like the good one, the better one.
It was a very bad remaster. We'll say that, which sucks because Final Fantasy VIII is my favorite Final Fantasy, which is like blasphemous, like absolute blasphemy to any Final Fantasy fan.
Everyone's like, how could you like that the best?
Yeah. Like, you don't like Final Fantasy if you like Final Fantasy VIII.
Bruh, it's whatever, man.
Final Fantasy VIII was the first one that was like, I played that I was able to understand like the story fully and everything, you know?
It's people connect to like a Final Fantasy based on age typically.
Yeah. And 8 hit me at the right age. 7 was like, I played 7, beat 7, didn't understand 7 because it's just an absolute mess of a story.
I'm gonna go wee wee, and then we'll pick it up. I'm assuming.
Get the party started.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So you said, Jared, you like, what'd you say, like 55, or I guess like 105 to 115? You said was kind of your preferred proof.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I think it tastes the best.
I used to be at like 90, but now that's, I think, a little stronger.
Yeah.
Probably like 100, like 100 proof.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's you know, each one can vary too, you know, like
Oh yeah.
like a newer, like let's say it's like only 3 years old or something, and they try to shoot up a 115 or 120, it's going to be too much, you know.
I really like the new rip stuff that I've had.
Yep. Yeah.
It's only like a 6-year?
4 or 5 is most of them. I think they might be getting up there a little bit now in age.
And that'd suck to start a company and literally not be able to put out product for like 6 years, right? 6 or 7 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you don't even know if it's any good for that long.
They taste them along the way. But whenever you're ready, let's go.
Yeah.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
All right. I'll count it down, then I'll hit the button. Pressing it. 3, 2, 1. Oh wait, it's still doing a health check. Hold on. I'm gonna refresh. All right. Pressing it now. 3, 2, 1. We are live for episode 77 of the Conqueror's Corner podcast. Today is Thursday, September the 8th, 2022, and I am the Destiny bad boy, NotRyanFox, here with my fire team, who all of you know by now. Jared?
Yeah, make sure you pay attention to the TWAB, and because you might miss it.
Isn't that the truth? And the chronicler himself, chadocero.
Yeah, I definitely started it, blinked, and was scrolling, and it was on to the movie of the week, and I was like, wait a minute, what?
And make sure if you're watching us on YouTube that you take us on the road via Spotify, iTunes, and other podcast services. Follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. Make sure you click the bell, turn on notifications, yada, yada, yada. Subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe. all that other stuff I always say. In all seriousness, please send us Bungie friend requests. We've been looking for people to run some raids with, and it could be you. So make sure you follow that. All that stuff will be in the description in the podcast, as well as the YouTube video. We did have what Bungie calls a TWAB come out today, so we're going to discuss that in the episode this week. But before we get to that, we're going to listen to our intro music, who is brought to you by everybody's favorite Link, who you can find on Twitter at LinkOfTimeG.
You know, I don't know if many people's been to the zoo, but this TWAB makes you feel like you're like approaching the tiger pit, and you roll up to it, and like the tigers are sleeping like back in the corner in the cave and not moving, and you're like, I walked all the way here, and I expected like some kind of movement, and not a whole lot is went on. So here we are, Dares of Eternity. These weapons got a origin trait called Hot Swap, and they got some new roles to chase after, and they are now craftable. So not only have we been running this for 6+ months now, they also Bungie wants us to go back and continue running it after we all spent all of our treasure keys and everything else over the since last December. Oh, so it's been over 9 months, about 9 months since it came out. Then it came out the first week of December. So, and you have to go get 5 red borders of the BXR, Wastelander, Half Truce, Pardon Our Dust, and Retrace Path. But at least the other half, you only need 1. And it's a guaranteed red border drop whenever you get the purple sword out of your treasure keys or from Xur or from Dares of Eternity. So some new stuff to go after. They did take my favorite role of the BXR away, which was Demo Adrenaline Junkie combo. So
Yeah.
Yep. So new stuff to go chase. How are you all feeling about Bungie going back to previous stuff we grinded out and adding the craftable weapons to it?
I have no problem with it. If the red drops are aplenty, I have 0 issue with it. Mm-hmm. If they are stingy with the red drops, then it is absolutely ridiculous, because I've done well over 100 Dares of Eternity at this point, and the last thing I want to do is go back in there and do that. It would be different if they released 25 new exotics that I was trying to get the catalyst completed for or something like that, but it's just absolutely boring recycled content at this point that they're trying to make relevant by making you go back in there.
I mean, what I can say is it's definitely my plan to go in there and do my Thunderlord catalyst on my Titan with Actium War Rig, because it's like I'd rather do that than sit in Shuro Chi and murder Thrall for 30 minutes. Like I'll just do some dares. But it took me just under 90 chest openings to get the other half. So I'm really excited for another 90 more. I'm about 20 in, and I'm making my way there, baby.
This is not an exaggeration. I think I've had 10 of the other halves to drop.
I don't need to hear
the season
you say
started.
That. Like I'm very happy.
I don't get.
For
That's
you.
the
I'm
only
so
thing
happy.
I get. That's like I won't get the red frames of any other weapon.
I mean, I've gotten 3 retrace paths, so I'm well on my way to the legendary version of the what's the solar.
It was my wife's favorite exotic.
Oh, that one.
Yeah. Anyway, the exotic solar trace rifle, because this thing can roll with incandescent now, so you can craft an incandescent one, and I'm hearing that it's a lot of fun.
Prometheus.
Not great.
Lens.
Yeah, Prometheus. It's like a Prometheus light. So like just using a laser beam to make everything catch fire and blow up sounds hilarious to me. So I'm excited to get there at least because that sounds like fun. Not an amazing gun, but it'd be fun, you know, on like a solar burn week for like just running some strikes.
Mm-hmm.
Let's blow some stuff up.
Okay.
Run a solar
Let's-
heavy and then run Yaller
Yeah.
horn.
Let's be honest. The only gun in there, I mean, the battler's good. The only one I'm really concerned about is the Pardon Our Dust. I would like to be able to craft that grenade launcher, especially like in the future. You know, if you could get like enhanced auto loading and something else with blinding grenades or something, it could potentially be handy where it's in your kinetic slot. So that's the one I want the most. I've got one red drop of it so far. So maybe in 2 years I'll have enough red borders to be able to craft one.
I mean, my hunter has a Wastelander glued to him for the 1-2 punch. So yeah, I've been liking that. That's been fun. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad that they brought him red borders. It means people can craft one. I'm sad that they not ruined, but took away some of the really good rolls people liked. But just adding more red borders to content to give people something to chase and something to do.
Yeah.
This season's very season light, so this is the season to really go for it and try to get into dares and do some stuff.
One thing that has been nice is last season I quit making it a priority to be able to craft every single weapon in the game. I was like, there's just too many. I'm not going to be able to get them all. I was able to break my brain from that. So it's kind of carried into this season as well, which is kind of unfortunate because I'm not really chasing anything like hardcore. So that part of the game is kind of just lost on me at the moment.
Not to mention you have, 5 years of weapons sitting in your vault?
Yeah, I think that's the other big thing is there's never a situation where I was like, man, I really need that weapon because I have something comparable or better already. And, whenever you play a game for 2,000 hours, you should have something comparable or better that comes out. So if there was something that was like the absolute DPS king, then I would be in there busting my balls trying to get it. But there's not. I have something comparable or better already. So I'm not very motivated for Destiny things at the moment.
I'm gonna have to make you rescind that statement. We deleted at least 1 year's worth of weapons in his vault, and we have that on video.
Yeah,
So
true. True.
I am back up to like 585
all right,
already.
we're not trying to talk about that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we can go back in. We can do some more.
I would feel a lot better if Bungie had these weapons. You had to get 3 red borders in order to start the crafting. I would actually be a little bit more motivated to get in there and do it because I feel like that's achievable. Right now, I know I have to log in and every week do the Pinnacle Challenge. That way I guarantee a red border frame. So that's what basically you can do 300K a week. You get your red border frame. You get a few treasure chest keys that way. And
that 300K is not super easy at the first few weeks, is it? You kind of gotta.
yeah. This week is getting pretty easy.
You gotta fight for it.
Everybody's like 10 or 15
everybody's
below.
bumping up a little.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess it'll do something. I mean, they do give us a whole 50 lines of dialogue and 17 minutes of content to do this week for the story.
Mhm.
So I mean, they gotta have something to fill up the rest of the time.
I do enjoy how quick that is. However, something that you might have to wait a little while for, and that is if you purchase the Lightfall Collector's Edition. So they're advertising here in the TWAB. That means they didn't sell out of all of them. You usually like to do the day of a expansion showcase. So, Chad, what am I looking here? We got that fish from...
Uka, it's the fish from Beyond Light that disappeared and then came back in the lore for one thing last season. And that was the sign for me that was like, that fish is coming back. I don't know when. It's coming back soon because there literally was no mention of it whatsoever until last season. But the collector's edition, I've been eyeing it, but I don't think I've ever bought a Destiny collector's edition because every time I'm like, I don't think I need it. But they're saying here as they prepare for the witness, the collector's edition will help them gain some insight from Kydal and Ikora's notes and Osiris's vision of hope on Neptune. So that tells me maybe he already knew. Maybe he's like one of the only people that knew about Neptune. But because remember in in his time on Mercury, he sent thousands of his replications or his images through different timelines. So he might have had one or two that actually fell into Neptune by accident. So he'd have that knowledge of Neptune, and maybe was also like, we don't know his whole thing, but we know he's a big thing in the expansion. He's a part of like the main cover art for everything. So we'll see how that goes. I'm sure Ryan's super excited to hear his boy back up and running. But in the collector's edition, they have the 150 for the no game, and then 250 for whichever platform you're going to be on. But for all the goods, you're looking at a digital soundtrack, a 8-inch Puka replica figure with LED lights and a stand, Vanguard lore books, letters from Zavala, a mini lithograph, vinyl sticker, and some exclusive collector's edition emblem. They're expecting the e-delivery for the soundtrack to happen in February. And the physical collectibles are estimated on or before the 28th. So the drop.
No chance.
The day of, yeah. But the Bungie likes to take some time. So them giving a date that for this stuff, I was like, whoa, they're getting spicy. Like, I order my raid jackets, and I know for a fact I'm gonna be waiting.
There's a year out.
I'm gonna be waiting for like a year or two or a year and a half, and I'm like, I don't care, because I'm like, once I get it, I'm like, sweet,
yeah,
hanging out. But
how many have you bought every jacket so far, Chad?
No, I buy the ones I like. I bought the opulence.
The only one I bought was the Divinity Raid Garden of Salvation.
Garden. Yeah, the Garden one was cool. I got the
crown. The 4X was a lot like a extra large plus.
They're West Coast based, baby.
Not really a 4X. Those are hippie style 4Xs. So I can't speak for any other size, but the 4X was not anywhere close to a Midwest, or I should say the Southeast 4X. So
large. It's true to size for me.
Yeah. So I do want to say, so wasn't do you guys remember whenever we were, and we collective, I'm a little bit older than you guys. Remember the was it puka shell, the necklace, the white?
Yeah, the puka necklace.
Yeah. So is that the same? Is that the same thing as the puka ghost?
I think they're spelled exactly the same. P-O-U-K-A. I think it's spelled the same.
I thought about trying to bring back the puka shell necklace. So maybe for the podcast, I'll buy one and start wearing it.
Well, this is week one stream of the new expansion. You're gonna.
There we go. The only problem is I'll have to buy a big one, because if not, it'll just be like a puka choker if I'm not careful. So.
All right, there's going to be a hot fix next week. So your Charged Melee key binding should work as intended with Titan Thunderclap. And then Storm Trance will now correctly increases damage over time when attacking. And then if you're on a PS5, there's support for 120 hertz output option in Crucible that's currently unavailable due to an issue. It will be available again in a future update.
Buy a PC.
Hey man, with the AMD stuff coming out recently, or I think November, the AMD stuff's cheap.
You're gonna have to upgrade that 5950, dog, to that 7950.
No, I'm gonna let them. No, this is the first version of this platform, so I'm gonna give them at least a gen or two to get all the kinks worked out first.
Yeah, I've been looking at that 13900K. That's what I'm kind of looking at. But if I try to upgrade my computer now, my wife might kill me. And I'd have to get a motherboard, RAM, like DDR5 RAM,
maybe,
and a new CPU. So it's looking at probably like a $800 or $900 thing.
You might as well get a new case at that point too.
Yeah,
But
just
no,
throw it in there, baby.
I got a great case. I got a great case, and my graphics card I can hold out to the next graphics card I'm gonna buy is gonna be the 5090. I've already decided. I'm skipping the 4000 series.
Okay.
If not, I'll end up divorced. So we'll go from the 3080 to the 5090. I think that's the upgrade next. So we'll just surprise the wife with that $2,100 graphics card in about 2 years.
Okay. So that is it for the TWAB, and that might be a record for us how quickly we got through the TWAB before. We haven't drawn that one out.
And that's the TWAB.
So also what's happening this week is Iron Banner and the new game mode Eruption. So, again, Iron Banner is only around for 2 weeks this season. So if you haven't gotten in, you're waiting. Tomorrow is whenever you'll have all 4 challengers available to play through. I think it takes 16 games to complete all the challenges. I could be wrong there. It could be 18 or 20. I can't remember. So
I was hoping he was going to say like it might only be like 14.
No. But I have been playing some, but I've been having issues. My game's counting towards the challenges. Like today, I started at 7 of 12, played 5 games, and I ended 8 of 12. And I don't know why that happened. I didn't see it in known issues in the TWAB. I haven't seen anybody tweeting about it on Twitter. I don't know if it's my issue or what. But if you know what that is, tweet at us, or I'll tweet out the answer or something, because that is very aggravating just to try to get through some games to get your pinnacle drop. And it's not a good issue for Jared, as Fox put it in chat. So I didn't even leave the game to go queue myself into the next lobby or anything like that. I just stayed until the screen ended and sent me the orbit. So
that was a pause because all of us were reading that.
But overall, the game mode is basically Slayer, but whenever you're slaying out and getting lots of assists and kills, you get some grenade energy and melee energy and super energy, and then you keep holding that W key down to take out more. Then you become a high value target on the field where your kills count for more. But if people kill you, they get more points for that too.
Hey, can I ask you guys a question real fast? Are like top 20% PvP players more annoying than like top 5% PvE players? So people that are, let's say top 20% Crucible players, and they all think they're a little bit better than they are. You know what I mean? So them complaining about like skill-based matchmaking and everything since this season started, are they more annoying than like the top 5% PvE players that complain about like, oh, people shouldn't be able to use Divinity because it makes everything too easy, and day 1 raid should be way harder. It's not fair that more than my fire team was able to complete a day 1 raid. Which group is more annoying right now in the Destiny community?
But the first
I've
2
heard
weeks
some
of the
toxic
season,
PvE stories.
I want to say the PvP players right now, but Iron Banner's
Yeah.
here without SPM, so that's kind of cooled them down for this week. But it'll be right
I
back
don't
up.
know. Our PvP player that we had the most interaction with was still being quite the triple B in regards to Iron Banner about everything. He's like, it's a little bit better, but it's not much better, So he's
I would say this.
every time I play, I have to try real hard, and I have to use my bow and my true prophecy that's cracked out in order to be able to kill anybody, because and then sometimes I think they're really not freelance players because they all run together and play. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
I was just wondering who's more annoying right now? People like complaining about PvE being too easy, or Crucible players that think they're the top 5% that, God forbid, they have to play a little bit hard whenever they play Crucible. They just can't pub stomp.
There is some really, and I'm just basing this off of like the stories I've seen of people, because I've seen it before, and everybody makes fun of it too, like LFG posts.
right?
And one of them I saw someone obviously for PvE. There's been some wild PvP LFG posts recently, but for PvE, one guy was like, "Yeah, man, like I responded to a post that said 40 plus clears, must have blah 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 blah." And he responded, he's like, "Hey, look, I only have just over 20 clears, but one of them," and it said, "And link your raid report." And he's like, "But
Right.
one of them here was like a full 3-man flawless run."
Jeez.
Like they 3-man flawless a raid, and the guy was like, "Did you read the post? It said 40 plus," and then like dumped him off the chat or whatever. And I'm like, "Are you kidding? Like this guy's so much better than your entire group, and you're just like,
Right.
are
This
you
guy's literally a god. He's a PvE god, and you're just
and he's
dumping him
being so
because-
chill." It's no matter what, the complainers are gonna complain. And the guy that Ryan was talking about, God bless his soul, if he listens to the podcast, I think he might. But like Ryan said, he said it's a little bit better. And I'm like, at least he said that, because like the real whiners are it's always gonna be negative. Well, they could have done this and this, and it's like, bro, it's calm down, man. There's a little light at the end of that tunnel. Like, come on, my guy, don't be looking at the ground with your eyes closed the whole time.
Yeah. You know how in the King's Fall when Orc says the bombs and you have to like run around or the bombs will kill you? I wish
Yes,
Eruption,
absolutely.
if you stood in one place for too long in one area, to say a 5-meter radius, that a bomb will go off. And
Man, that'd be cool.
You just blow
What,
up.
what if your shield started going down at like after 3 seconds or like 5 seconds of standing still, your shield started to deplete or something? That'd be cool.
Because that's
I mean,
what I'm
it's
kind
called
of running
Eruption,
into
right?
with this game. Yeah, is that whenever people are just trying to rack up some assists, so they're sitting back in the map with pulse rifles and scout rifles, and then waiting till they get enough assists.
Place.
Exactly, and then they push forward with their super after they sit back there to just get assist after assist after assist.
Listen, I agree with you in Destiny, like that slow play stuff is boring. But like there is something, and I don't know how familiar. I don't know how much you guys have played Gears of War. I don't think Chad's played it at all. I think Jared's dabbled, but they have like a their primary PvP mode is basically like it's a round based game, and once you die, you're out for the round, and that is my absolute favorite game mode in any PvP ever. Because like once somebody goes down, it's easy. You don't have to worry about respawns and that type of thing. You can like really keep track of like where the team is and stuff. So like I really like trials because trials and like elimination, you can respawn, but you have like a pool of lives. But like if there was something that like you had 1 life per round, like that's the stuff that I really like, because you don't have to worry about people spawning and coming back in.
Yeah.
So I wish there was something more like that. And we kind of had that for a while. I can't remember. In Destiny 1, there was a game type, and maybe like year 1 of Destiny 2, that game type came through as well.
Wasn't that Trials of the
It
Night?
was like a no, I'm not talking. It wasn't a trials mode. It was like salvage, maybe was the name of it. That was kind of like you had to kind of get to an area, control a zone, and like once you died, you were done. I want to say. So I really like that. So I wish they would have something that was like a 1 life, which goes against the Guardian thing. I understand, but I just say like the Ghost has limited power. It doesn't have to be some crazy in-depth reason. But if there was something like that, I would very much like that, to where you have to really play your life and think before you peek a corner in certain maps. But maybe one day we'll get something.
Yep. I mean, I think they could have borrowed the Golgoroth corrupted light for Surge, and it would have been like surging light. And then after a certain point, if you don't get a kill, like it's legit like bang, like you blow up. And or like
Yeah.
if you're like he said, if you're just sitting there, it says it does the whole overflowing light thing, and like you're building up too much energy and you just blow up. You just detonate. That would be hilarious to me. I would enjoy that very much. It'd be like the fiesta of game modes for
Yeah.
Bungie, where you're just like blow it up. It'd
And
be
if they
hilarious.
did a bomb mode,
I gotta run towards the enemy so I can blow him up. Too.
right? And like they'd have to do it like kind of like an area of effect bomb mode thing, because if not, people would just run into a wall in order to like fake it. But if they did it something like that, it could be interesting. It keep you like at least like if your team would be in a rotation constantly, which could be pretty interesting as opposed to just like standing still.
Yeah, because it's keeping movement going, which is the point.
So what rating would you give Eruption then out of 10? So I think I know what I'm at. I'm at a.
I haven't played it enough to give it a fair rating. I'll pop back in next week and give what I think. My plan is this weekend to crank out a reset, or at least like 15 games or so, in order to get that done for the triumph, to be able to gild that seal.
Yeah, I'm sitting at an 8.1, as in it does make some movement. But I wish that it would just increase it just a little bit more. And it's also really cool that whenever you finally become the VIP or whatever, and like you have a super up, and you know that somebody's about to peek the corner to try to take you out for that +5, and you just get that triple kill with the super or something like that. That's really nice. It is fun, so it's a good change.
I'm gonna hit it with a solid 7 because unlike Jared, I'm a scrub lord, so I haven't had that. I haven't had that happen for me yet. So I'm the one that's peeking a corner and getting supered in the face when I don't even have half a super yet, and I'm like, wow, this is a fun mode, my man.
Yeah.
But like, it has SBMM, so once my thing starts to kind of like, it doesn't. No. So yeah, that's probably it. I'm just getting wrecked, and it's fine. Like I've had one game where I was surging, and that was a fun time because I got to super early, but
yeah.
I mean, I'm just not good, I guess. So it's okay, as long as you accept it.
I can tell a big difference. Like a couple games, my KDA was like 4 or 5, and then I've had some ones where I'm just hovering around 1, maybe a 1.5. And those games where it's a 1 or 1.5, you're getting spawn trapped. You can't peek a corner by yourself. You're getting team shot, and it can be very frustrating in this game type whenever the other team knows how to spawn trap you.
Yep. And he's saying that, and I'm like, man, I'm so happy I'm above a 1. At least I'm positive. I'm positive, baby. I did not die more than I killed people. I'm okay with that, unless it's counting assists, because then it's like, well, shoot, what's my real KD? 0.8. Oof.
They don't show that in game.
It's all right though, guys.
I know they don't. But
it's all right, because at the end of the day, football's back. So we're good. We are good.
All right. That is now it's time for 3 likes and dislikes.
I'll start us off here, Jared.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and start us off. So, my likes is that the boss encounters of the King's Fall raid are super fun. We all hopped on last night, and we did our red border run that ended up being glitched for the red border for whatever reason, because we got like just a bad luck on what our 3 symbols were. But man, that the War Priest encounter, we even had like we botched like the first damage phase and the second damage phase, I want to say.
Yep.
But we were able to recover. We got it done when the boss was enraged. It was a final damage phase, but we cleared it pretty easily. It wasn't too long into that damage phase. We did have a guy that wasn't part of our normal raid team that we raided with last week that joined in with us, and he did a full run and just kind of melded in pretty perfectly with a Sleepy Snorlax. I want to say was his sneaky Snorlax. Got to respect the Snorlax. He's one of my favorite Pokemon personally.
He's your spirit animal.
He is my spirit animal. That is the truth. And so had a great time running with him, and he last week he did like 3 3 daughters and
Daughters,
then three Oryxes with us. This week he ran the whole raid with us, just fit really well with our raid team. So we'll definitely keep him on the short list of people to invite whenever we're trying to do raids. But yeah, man, had a great time. Once you get to totems, and then after that you got War Priest, Golgoroth, Daughters, Oryx. Man, that's a pretty fun 4 encounters, in my opinion.
Yeah, my like for this week is the RNG of trying to get Touch of Malice. Like, I like having raid exotic RNG at the end of the boss, because it's a reason to go into the game. It's that excitement of finally when you get at the drop. That's very few things left in this game that give me that much excitement when I see that exotic engram pop up out of that chest. So I like that, and we are at 1 of 42. The Zindoni finally got his last night. So
he had that Canadian tuxedo on and was able to get it to drop. So pretty jealous.
I'm definitely excited for what's probably going to be the next expansion raid is probably going to have the duality treatment on it, because obviously that was a test. So they couldn't implement it for King's Fall because it was literally the next season. Most of it was already cemented. So having that, like, well, this will increase the drop rate by, a little bit. This one too. If you do the all void run, all solar run, it's like an extra 1% for each of those triumphs would be nice.
Yep.
So I'm excited to see that in. But like Jared said, having that RNG chance, even though my raid RNG is horrendous, it's a reason for all the guys to get together and bust out some raids, and it's always a fun time. It's always a really chill time, except when we're messing up on the War Priest for no reason. It's just because we're tired or being stupid.
Right.
It's literally just because we're being dumb, and that's it happens. But my like this week is I don't know if I said this or not. It's how chill the grind feels this season. It definitely cemented in this week that it's like 20 minutes in and out story, and it's like I can go into the banana, I can go do some of this, I can go do some of that. I've already got my catalyst for Desolate Tomb, so I'm like I can go work on that if I want for that exotic to get that done. I can go work on Thunderlord and Dares if I want to try to get some red borders and stuff like that. But I've been very lucky RNG wise on my pinnacle drops, so I'm not even pressured into doing those this week. So I'm like I can really just play whatever I want at the moment and not really worry too much. As long as I get my raids in, I'm good. So it's been really, really relaxed, really chill. I don't have to worry about it feeling like a chore this week. It's very, very relaxed. I'm really happy about that. As far as my dislike, it's that we have no wish wall in King's Fall. They definitely based Last Wish on the King's Fall kind of length and duration and stuff like that, which is great, amazing, wonderful. But the beginning of King's Fall doesn't start for me until totems. That's just it. Like I don't even need a wish wall. I just need a press here to go to totems. Boop. I'll skip the secret chest and the first chest because the first chest isn't a penny or anything. I think it's not even a powerful drop. It drops at 70.
Yep.
So it doesn't drop at light. So I'm like, I'll skip that. I don't care. I don't need to open the door. I'll open the door once for people that haven't done it before, and then after that, they'll all agree with me and be like, "This took way too long."
Yeah,
and then people, it's like
so,
jump puzzles hate it. It's like, I gotta jump on these things, and if you don't, you're transported all the way back. It's just not fun for a lot of people, and I get it. I'm fine with it, but I just don't like that it's 30 minutes of my time almost that's typically taken up by just that.
Yeah, so my dislike was that the everything in King's Fall that's not an actual boss encounter, or like so basically the opening encounter is a nightmare. The ship jumping is a nightmare because once you know, like, oh, this one is going to come in front of us, this one's coming from our right side, like once you know that, it is just an absolute waste. And then they hide like the red border chest and the secret chest behind that first stuff there. So everything in King's Fall that's not a boss encounter, it takes entirely too long. And whenever you get to the phallic wall, encounter where the other secret chest is, you know, at that point, and then you have the maze where the other secret chest is, and like that stuff is just, it just feels like time is being added. There's basically 4 encounters in that raid, and they stretch it out to 7 or 8 in order to get you to do this other stuff. And it feels like what should take 45 minutes or 40 minutes is taking like an hour and 15 or an hour and 20. And that's assuming that you have a team that like meshes well and is like one basically killing everything on the first try without wiping. I could not imagine going into some of those with LFG teams and it taking 3, 4, 5 tries on each encounter. Like I would be ready to KYS myself as opposed to going through that.
All right, my dislike is there's really nothing challenging to do in PvE right now, and I'm not even really looking that forward to Grandmasters because I think the first week a Grandmasters drop, the weapon is going to be, it's not going to be Militia's Birthright or the shotgun.
Oh, that's a horrible oversight.
So that to me is, I'm already thinking ahead, like I'm not doing Conqueror week 1. I want to do it the second or third week for Militia's Birthright. And why did that shotgun forget the name of it?
Talk about the Mind Benders ambition.
Yeah, Mind Benders. Yeah, because Mind Benders is linked to Lightblade. So, you know, that's usually just like we get it done and don't really want to grind that Grandmaster out. So
right.
I am saving other GMs for that week because I don't want to grind Lightfall. I mean, Lightblade. So
I'm kind of angry that you made that point because now I'm like, dang it. I don't want to do that either.
I'm happy because I looked, Chad was level 99 in the raid we did last night. Jared was 69 nice in the raid we did last night, and I'm 25. So I have a lot of just mindless bounty grinding to do. Yeah. And if I get an extra week, I'm not mad about it.
Yeah.
So what was it? Was it last season? It was like 114 got you to ready as long as you were at pinning cap.
I think it's in the 40s. 140.
No, it wasn't that high.
No. 140 something was finishing your artifact. That's what that was.
Yeah,
so yeah, it's like 114.
Like,
114 to 17 or something weird.
So my plan is, I had a good time running that raid the other night. I think it's just hanging out with the boys. You know what I mean? It's not like that raid is like a super special. You know, I'm not gonna get a tattoo of the King's Fall remaster raid. So like, just I had a good time, and I'm looking forward to getting back on. I got some Iron Banner. I can get 20. Probably crank out 8 to 10 bounties, Crucible bounties,
So
the
other thing to think about, Fox, is that eventually King's Fall will have a master mode, and you will need to get that title, which is Kingslayer, right?
Yeah, no, it makes me be like Jaime Lannister, who is like my second favorite character on there. So I've got just mindless. So what I'm gonna have to do is just grab like planetary bounties every day or every other day.
So I think you don't have to do that. Focus on your seasonal challenges. Do not turn them in until we go to raid together.
Yeah, because I'm not real good at just like once they're done, I just complete them. I don't save them, so I need to like do a better job of that.
Yep. All right, that takes us to the weapon breakdown of King's Fall. After last week, we just talked about the raid for so long and just skipped the weapons breakdown. And here it is this time around. So the trait is runneth over, reloading near allies, overflows the magazine. What appears to me this tends to be about a 10%. Is what I think it looks to be to me. So, you know, weapons like the sniper that we eventually talk about, I think it's going to be really great on for PvE. But before we get there, the first one is Smite of Moran, and that's the kinetic adaptive frame pulse rifle. All these were in Destiny 1. And you might have some favorite wolves that might be here, might not be from Destiny 1. But for PvE, I'm looking at Airhead Break, Flared Magwell, Focus Fury, and Vorpal. The reason for that, I would actually see myself using that in a Grandmaster because Focus Fury, you can proc that on just ads. At the same time, you can proc it with Vorpal at the same time, shooting champions. But however, this gun does have the demo Adrenaline Junkie combo and also the plug list swashbuckler combo. So if you like any of those in PvE, that's there. For PvP, I'm looking at Airhead Break, Accurized, Moving Target with Gut Shot Straight. Because Gut Shot takes away some aim assist, Moving Target puts a little bit of that back on there for you. And I've used that some in PvP, the Gut Shot Straight. I can tell a little bit with that aim assist fall off, but I like that because I think it definitely opens up the ability to not hit so many crits and it makes that optical time to kill easier to achieve. And that's an adaptive frame pulse rifle, so I'm sure everybody has many of those sitting in their vault already before this one. Not much to write home about. All right, the next is Defiance of Yasmin, the kinetic adaptive frame sniper. For PvE, I'm looking at Fluted, Extended Mag, Lead for Gold with Firing Line or Focus Fury if you want a solo sniper. PvP, I'm maxing out stability, so Polygonal, then Accurized, Snapshot, and Opening Shot. I don't like going steady rounds in that second slot, even though I could, just to add more stability. To me, this is what I am focusing my red border frames on first. For Grandmasters, I think I could run the Lead for Gold, Focus Fury, or Firing Line instead of Succession. It's going to be hard for me to not use Succession in a Grandmaster with Anti-Barrier Sniper, but that is my number one choice right now in this raid. And Chad, it brings us to a fusion rifle.
Oh boy, Midas Reckoning, baby. Arc High Impact. I love High Impact. I'm one of 5 people. There's almost dozens of us. So for PvE, I will say this: Jared definitely likes his I think stability rolls because of Massive Breakdown, and they make the most sense. And I always agree with him. I'm weird in liking my range, so I won't say what I normally do, but it's basically I just go for range instead of stability. Just that's what I've always done. And anyway, for PvE, we're looking at small bore, accelerated coils, and then pugilist golden tricorn, which is definitely a really one. Like I said, I think last week, it's one of those weird combinations that can't happen anywhere else. And then for PvP, we're looking at chambered compensator, particle repeater, pugilist tap the trigger. So pugilist is definitely the third row to go for this this fusion. I think this is the only fusion right now that can get pugilist, right? I believe.
I think so.
Because there isn't a seasonal one, so this is the only one right now. So definitely take advantage of that. It's gonna be a fun one to get. And then tap the trigger is just generally overall a good PvP perk to have on a fusion. It's either that or under pressure. Those are the 2 perks that I always try to get on a fusion. Either one of those, and you're golden for sure. Especially on a high impact, they help out quite a bit. But I'm definitely excited about that. There's a lot of random stuff to get on here, but pugilist is going to be something that's going to be fun. I haven't looked too much into it, so I didn't even know it got golden tricorn on there.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be hilarious to do.
You can't get Reservoir Burst in that last column, but there's no easy way to refill the mag in the third column to keep Reservoir Burst going, like Glacier Chasm does.
Yeah. The only good thing though is that if your max magazine, and I know this is probably the wrong number, but say your max magazine is 5, with the trait runneth over. If you reload by your allies, if your magazine goes to 7, all shots above and including the maximum number count as reservoir burst shots. So your 7, 6, and 5th shot, so those first 3 shots count as reservoir burst, all of them. So you need to basically run down the mag until you're 1 below max, run to your allies, reload it again, and then you shoot up above that, and you have another 3 or 4, 2, 3, 4 shots of reservoir, and that's solid.
Mm-hmm. All right, next up we got a solo hand cannon named Zaulis Bane. I don't know. I probably didn't say that right, but
You're good.
this hand cannon makes a weird sound. Other than that, I like what's going to be going on with these rolls. I hate the sound that it makes. So PvE, small bore, flared mag well, explosive payload, and I'm saying Firefly. I am not saying incandescent in that last column because you're not always going to be running solar. Now, if that's what you want to do and make out the solar hand cannon build, yeah, you can do incandescent, but explosive payload Firefly is Fatebringer, but it's solar. And it goes really well with making wells and everything else. So that's just my.
I think I have 4. I think I have 4 of these that I've got the red border like patterns out of. I like the sound that it makes. I know Jared doesn't. I assume it's just you like it or you don't. And I'm looking forward to getting that 5th one, either this week whenever we run another red border run, or next week whenever my first one I buy is a red border. So looking forward to that, and that's kind of the one that I was focusing on. I just like hand cannons, and honestly, like we've talked about before, I have basically every weapon that I would ever need for the future of this game, unless they just bring something out that's ridiculous. So it's just kind of stuff that I like at this point.
They do got another the Pugilist with demo. That's column B3 and then column 4 for demo. That's a pretty cool role, just to constantly have your abilities up and going. But for PvP, I'm looking at small bore, accurized, explosive payload with Eye of the Storm. Instead of that explosive payload in column 3, you could definitely go with opening shot with Eye of the Storm. That's like always aim assist, especially if you're in a 1v1. There's going to be a lot of bullet bending going on and hitting headshots there. All right, next up we got a scout rifle, void precision frame. That's Doom of Celsius. This is probably one of the funnest PvE roles that might be out there right now. So that's small bore flared magwell with Firefly and Dragonfly in columns 3 and 4. Pretty great for running strikes, I would say. But if I'm going to take this into a GM, column 3 has adaptive munitions, and then column 4 has frenzy. So I feel like that's pretty great for taking into some in-game PvE where you're just plinking stuff away from a distance.
You can also get explosive in that third column that I kind of like, and then you can get like a one for all, or that's not like, it's not gonna break the game, but I kind of like one for all, but it's not. I don't know. Basically, there's more than one roll, because you can also get Vorpal in that third column that can kind of mix it up a little bit. So there's several good rolls. You're not just really chasing like one that's just so far better than the rest, but there are some that are better than others.
PvP, God help you if you're trying to pull this off, but fluted flared magwell with explosive payload. And I put Firefly. No, wait. Did I just look at the wrong thing? Nope. I put Firefly there, even though that's in the wrong column. So what did I even run for? Oh, Eye of the Storm, I guess. I don't like this gun for PvP. But if you like 180 scouts, you can make something play there with explosive payload, because you're going to need that extra flinch to get your time to kill off. Next up is a Stasis High Impact Machine Gun. Quillam's Terminus. I've gotten one of these to drop, and it just dropped last night, and I didn't even get to mess around with it that much because we went ahead and killed orcs, and I went on to bed. But PVE, I'm looking at fluted extended mag stats for all with killing tally. I feel like that should be pretty good at mowing down ads and at the same time parking that stats for all to get that quick reload off. Even though extended mag is hurting to reload, just having that extra bullets and sounds good to me. For PvP, I don't think this archetype is usually super popular for PvP, but small bore extended mag heating up with killing tally. I think that combination of heating up and killing tally in PvP would be really good if I was able to get that roll. The other options for this in the last column, you can get firing line, headstone, and focus fury. I think those three is also very good for PvE if that's what you choose to run. And then also in column 3, you can get unrelenting can be good at times.
I have a stats for all with a wellspring.
Okay.
It's not great, but it's not an instant delete. If you don't have anything better, that's kind of me. So,
yeah.
But hopefully in like 2 or 3 more weeks, I can delete that one because I'll have something else that's better.
And Bungie did give us all a great stasis machine gun last season as their pursuit with Crucible, Gambit, and Vanguard. So that has like the demo drill and junkin combo and stuff like that. So this is something to fill a different part at PvE if you're searching after something. And that's it for weapons breakdown. So like we talked about, there's a lot of different roles that go through these weapons. It's not just probably a god roll. There's actually roles meant for certain builds and gone away from the like this is the only role that you really need on a weapon, like Fatebringer. Like if I what's explosive load, supposed to payload Firefly or Frenzy in that last column but yeah.
Yeah. So gambling corner, nobody got the none of us 3 got the raid exotic this week. So we're just gonna roll that over, and that was I believe they said it was 2,000 to the first person that got it.
Mm-hmm.
That got it. So that's gonna take us to the war, which Chad, you said you were gonna talk about the catch killer armor.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about that. The catch killer armor, thankfully, is basically just our guardian kind of going around and asking people questions about the old crews. We've heard a little bit about him. We still don't know anything. We know that Misrax has a dark past that we still can't figure out what it is because he's threatening Spider. So Spider ain't saying nothing, and Idol keeps trying, and Spider's like, "Look, girl, I'm much more scared of that guy who will kill me because I know what he's all about than you." So he's not talking, even to us. So the first helmet, I think the helmet, because it doesn't say who they're asking, but the first one sounds very much like Spider. And it says, "What's that, Guardian? You want to hear about the old crews from someone who was there? You think I was around for the whirlwind? Ha! I'm a few molts shy. No, I hatched into the House of Wolves. You know the story, and if not, I don't have the time to explain it to you. But I traded information. I ran some tough crowds in the past, maybe knew someone who knew someone. You get the idea. So I knew a fair bit about those crews. For them, every puff of ether came at someone's expense. Your best bet was to be stronger than the crew over, and when things were especially bad, stronger than whoever was in the cot next to yours. So they got strong, and remember, they didn't have void or solar like you do. They had claws, blades. When they killed, it was without hesitation, and when they died, there was no coming back. You guardians with your little ghosts hovering nearby, you have the luxury of kindness. That was never an option for the old crews. They were like anyone else. They were cruel, but you needed to be cruel to survive in those days. And they're not back, like I hear Mistrax saying. They never left. You're up against the ones who stayed alive all this time, the ones who learned how to survive, how to sacrifice, how to take what they need, whatever the cost. And speaking of cost, I'm not seeing any more glimmer in your account. I think we're done talking." Moving on to the gauntlets. The old crews, yes, I have gathered much information about them in the past weeks. In fact, I have just finished going over my notes. The old crews rose in the wake of the whirlwind. During that, we Elixni refer to as the Long Drift, a span of time between the fall of Reese and our arrival in the Sol system. I believe the equivalent period would be your Dark Ages. Though Reese did not have Risen or Iron Lords, instead we had the crews. As you can imagine, the period was quite lawless. As the stability and abundance of Reese was no more, this resulted in what I believe is called a zero-sum game, a situation in which every gain or advantage is earned at the expense of another. Several fearsome individuals rose to great power and authoritative prominence at that time. The Elixni word for them translates to catch killer, meaning one who boards and wrests control of enemy ships. These catch killers commanded great fleets and raided many supply routes, procuring objects of historic or intrinsic value along the way. It is exciting to wonder what treasures they accumulated beyond those we've recovered already. Many crews were abolished or disbanded over time, but those who survived did so through great hardships. They are formidable indeed, but then so is the Vanguard and its guardians. Thank you for asking about my research into the old crews and their significance. It is always a pleasure to talk about it. After all, what use is knowledge if not shared? I'm assuming you can hear that that's probably Ido talking on that one. Next one. The old crews, ain't much I can tell you that couldn't get from Rahul. But I can't blame you if you'd rather stay awake from the whole story. Come on, loosen up, hero. If you think a grim expression is all it takes to move up through the Vanguard, well, you may have something there. Okay, I'll start at the beginning. The Traveler chose the Elixni and everything was great over in Reese until it wasn't. The whirlwind happened, the pyramid showed up, and the Traveler took off through space, and from what I gather, it wasn't a pretty scene. Aramis was there for it, and credit where it's due, she picked herself up, grabbed a crew, and went after the Traveler. She cut through everything in her way, dead set on hunting it down. And she wasn't the only one with the idea. Whole fleets of ships chased the Traveler, lawless days, hopeless days. See, I was there for the Dark Ages. And when there's nothing but loss around you planetside, you can still find a rooftop, sit in a snowfield. You can go into a forest and find a moment of quiet, a little scrap of peace. Ain't like that on a ship. Things go from bad to worse, you just have to face it. And Aramis did what that takes, a gut full of grit. Now, don't think I'm writing love poems to the ship stealer over here. We find her, I'm drawn down as quick as you are. But if the big old Traveler blasted out of the sky tomorrow, you bet your entire vault we'd chase after it. We'd be the new crews going after something we knew in our bones was ours. Not something for anyone or anything that got in our way. And we'd still think of ourselves as heroes, wouldn't we? Moving on to the legs. We are raiders and cutthroats, killing each other for bare survival. But what else could we have become? You can't speak of us, the old crews, in their infamy without speaking of the whirlwind. Like hatchlings chittering for their mother, we were abandoned, weak, left to die. You all know what we came after. We lived. We lived, and we had was our lives. Great houses fell, and from their ruins rose the crews. We followed the traitor machine to this system and found the humans just as soft and weak as we had been, as reliant, helpless, and blind as the machine had made us. But the humans had taken it from us, and so we would pay with everything we had. And now, we remain where others have failed. Enemy ships quaver at the sight of our banners. They break against our hulls, and we pick them clean of all they have. We find other prey and do the same. We know the truth in this system. We are only as strong as those we kill. And then the mark. What makes a house? It is a good question, and one that many Elixni do not think on often enough. For humans, a house is a place. But for Elixni, a house is a family. It has a culture, a philosophy of living, shared by all. That is why the House of Light survived. Even when we fled Europa, even after the ship stealer took all we had, we were bound not by place or possessions, but as family. Cryptarch Matsuo asked me why the old crews were not considered houses. It is a wise question, one that perhaps does not have a singular answer. I think it is because those who lead the crews do not wish to be true Kells. A Kell is responsible for the safety and prosperity of their house. It is an honor and a burden. Those you call pirate lords wish only to take. They give nothing, even to their own people. Each raider is responsible only for themselves. A crew is expendable. A family is not. The old crews live a sad life, one best left in the past. So there's some good takes here, but again, we haven't learned anything about much of anything. And that's the seasonal armor, so we got that week 1. We don't know much about anything besides what we've already known about what happened with the whirlwind. We've got new names for things because of Ido. So the long drift is the time in between when they got from there to here. But I mean, other than that, we're still grabbing at straws. You know, I'm hoping this season, like I said, the season's pretty chill and relaxed. It doesn't feel, it's very story light, but the gameplay's fun and the loop is short, so it doesn't feel like you're grinding out a bunch of what was your Ryan's favorite season again? Season of the Chosen, right?
Yeah.
Where you're doing a bunch of those, a bunch of those not strikes. All those were horrendous. That's like 15 minutes of your time on just one of those. So I think there's gonna be a head where a lot of stuff is gonna happen all at once.
Don't forget about Season of the Forge.
Yeah. Again, seasons where there's a repetitive and boring activity is absolutely mind-numbing to everybody, especially Ryan. He's like, I just want to have fun, and I'm not here for this.
Give me something. Just give me a little bit of variety. Like even the Splicer season, there were 4 different missions, but at least you could choose them, and they weren't that bad.
Yep. And I think because we know that there is a sword fight between Aramis and Misrax, because of the trailer. So there's gonna be a moment where we learn a lot about Misrax and we know a little bit about Aramis, her past, what she used to do, why she got called the ship stealer, stuff like that. But we really don't know anything about Misrax. So there's going to be a point where a lot of that happens. A lot of that comes out. A lot of people have speculation on what's going to happen with him and or Ido or someone. So there's going to be a point where just a bunch of stuff happens all of a sudden, a whole new whirlwind of stuff. And I'm excited for that to happen because that's going to be a big week of lore stuff. But for right now, I'm excited at the break. And just ready to just kind of hang out.
Well, luckily, in the mailbag this time around, we have some lore questions and stuff going on in the game. So, Chad, make sure you are ready to go for that.
Oh, no.
So, first question here. Football's back in Twins. Fox, what does this mean?
And Twins. Yeah, and this just brings me back to the Coors Light commercials back in the day, the and Twins commercials. I did have about 3 Coors Light that were left over in the fridge from my last case, and I drank those before the football game started and before we got started tonight. So football's back, and Twins. And that takes us to the second question. Was Drifter flirting with Eris this week?
I mean, she sent him a love letter at the end of last season, right? She sent him a missive that we should not have gotten. Not really a love letter, but she sent him something that was very nice and actually from the heart or her third eye. It was very personal, and she's getting very personal with him. With the lore that we saw, she's very, very trusting with him right now, and is getting more and more trusting with him, which is scary because he's not a trusting person in the first place. So the fact that he is even opening up at all whatsoever, even if he does mean it as a joke, he still knows that old moon dust is
moon dust.
she's in there, and he's like, oh shit.
What was it? Something he said? He's like, if something that's spooky and unsavory comes through, we send it to Eris or something. He said there's something like that this week that I thought was kind of funny as well.
But I mean, could have been a little flirt back and forth, or it could have been him like the same way he like kind of less flirty, but kind of how Cade interacted with Eris or Ikora, how he'd be making jokes and stuff at their expense, and they'd be rolling with it.
He's
But
he's trying to give her gifts. You know, he's trying to turn that moon dust into moon pie. You know, that's what he's trying to do.
And she's like, no. He's like, you don't want that on your ship, so you're trying to pawn it off on me. And he's like, okay.
Wisdom. We know Drifter's the thing he cares about is numero uno, number one himself. So that's why I respect him the most out of everybody that's left in this game. Ikora close second, Osiris a close third. Next question: what did Mithrax do that is so bad? That's what I was asking Chad about in the pre-show, and Chad says he hasn't read ahead in the lore, so nothing that he's aware of. But they're hitting up to something big. I half wonder if Mithrax kind of made a sacrifice of his people, like maybe the weaker people, in order to bump up the higher ranked people, or if he had to do something like that, sacrifice the weak for the strong. I'm not sure what it would be, but they're like heavy-handed laying it on you based upon what I've seen of the story stuff, that Mithrax did something bad and they're hiding it, and his daughter doesn't know, and he's trying to not let his daughter know. But we know that she's probably going to find out. And he's calling Spider out by his actual Elixir name. So I'd say it's going to get worse before it gets better, if I had to guess.
Yep. He's like, look, punk, I know of you too. So he's definitely he's ringing Spider out, and Spider's like, look, I'm a business guy and I need to be alive to do that. So whatever you want, man, like, I'm cool. Very Drifter-esque. He's like, look, I just want to make some money, man. Like, whatever you want, as long as I can live, we're good. But I mean, we know that the main turnaround for Mithrax was when he met Ido. Not little Ido. We mean Sur Ido, the Awoken, which we talked about back in that season, where he was basically held as a prisoner by the Awoken, but Sur was so much stronger and better than him that she basically unshackled him and kind of let him be free under his watch, and they went and did hunts and stuff like that together, and there was camaraderie there. And her being a human, an Awoken but human, it was something that really opened his eyes to cross species, like a connection of that kind of camaraderie. And he's definitely, in the lore that I talked about this week, he is not bad mouthing, but he's talking very negatively about how a captain of a crew is not a Kel, and is not a true Kel, because they don't want to have responsibility. They only want to take things and not give to anyone else, which most people would assume, but I feel like it's coming from a place of knowledge somehow. But yeah, like Ryan said, I haven't read forward. I only read the lore books as they come out, because I also don't want the rest of the story to just get wiped out or something. But I'm excited to see, because every season they've been releasing one of those picture videos, like that 30-second minute long thing where it's like the really cool pictures with the voiceover, and I that hasn't even been leaked yet, and it's week 3, so I'm hoping we still have one, because those are good. But it'll be cool to get one, because because the one for Saint was awesome, showing his past with the Elixir, gives you an actual look. It's like a visual lore book of looks. So I hope there's something like that for Mithrax, showing him doing whatever he did, and it's gonna be brutal, and I'm here for it, and I'm gonna be there to give Ido a shoulder to cry on before whatever happens to her happens. And I'm not excited about that part, but yeah.
All right, question 4. Are we going to get to fight Aramis again?
Probably. I mean, we see her sword fighting with what's his face, so maybe at the end of our fight with her, we don't kill her, but Mithrax takes over and fights her and then wins.
What was
like a Kel versus Kel kind of thing?
What was the name of that
parlay.
Season of the Splicer. We bought the spinning guy that has the 3 shields around him. The Hydra. The Tekken Hydra or whatever.
Yeah,
It's up with the Q.
Korea.
Yeah.
Korea Blade Transform.
Yeah. Yeah, so do you think it'll be like something like that? Like we kill something that's not Aramis, and then Aramis is left to deal. Like Aramis gets to escape to the next expansion.
Or what if we do, and the witness comes and takes her and revives her or something?
He gets like transported with the orangey shimmer away all of a sudden right before the last blow.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I want to say we got a question.
He
got a
doesn't
question
do
from
that.
Dark Ace here. Do you think another race will get Ghost? You might have already had this question in the past, but this question just popped into my head. So do we think the Clefairies or whatever they're called in the new expansion, are they going to have any sort of ghost like creature?
Well, first of all, Clefairies are fairy type, so I don't think they can have I don't think there is a ghost fairy, although that would be an interesting combo. Probably not. Just based off of the way their whole thing works, I don't think they can. One of their regular humans could probably become a guardian, but I mean, in the lore for the skeleton key, which I might talk about, there is a point where Mr. X talks about how, because he's talking to Ido about something, and he says that they do feel bad that they've now watched the hive gain the light, but that doesn't make how they feel about the light any lessened in any way. Even if the hive gained the light like they did, they still feel the same way towards the traveler as they did before. So don't feel like that's a slight. And that's like him accepting that is one of those like, oh man, it's the minute that you feel like you don't need it anymore that you get it. And I like this season's really leading up to that. There's lots of really major hints that are leading to it, and that could be an obvious storytelling thing where it's like, ha, red herring, gotcha, nobody gets it. Or they could just be, be like, hey, this is the fun season, let's just do the stuff, and they just do it. They make a fallen guardian. I hope so. That'd be neat to have at least one, but we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens. I hope another race gets it like the hive did. That'd be awesome.
I mean, eventually I would say yes, because eventually I think how the Travelers happened in the past has took it away and gave it to another race a few times. So yes, somebody else will. All right, last question here. What NFL team are you taking to win it all this year?
Buffalo Bills.
Damn it. I'm feeling the same thing.
Yeah, what they said.
I guess I'm going to go with the opposite side, and I guess I'll think of NFC. I think is Tom Brady going to win it all in his last season? Do they have the team to do it?
I think it's Philly. I think Philly's going to come out of the NFC.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Philly or Green Bay. That's kind of I know what I'm thinking.
Okay.
All right, that brings us. That's the end of the mailbag. Make sure if you are watching us on YouTube, you can take us on the road via Spotify, iTunes, other podcast services. Follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. Make sure you subscribe and do all that. I want to let these other guys sign off here.
Yeah. I'm struggling to find a carrot at the end of the stick to chase. So let me know what you're chasing. What weapon are you trying to, lock down before the season's over?
And definitely get your relaxing time in. Don't forget to do bounties like Ryan forgets every season.
Yep.
Get your level up so you can do Grandmasters whenever you want. And just handle this season in stride until the big deal happens whenever it happens, because it's bound to happen eventually. But yeah, get your game on, guys.